Zinc Media. Feel the power of knowledge.
We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator. And among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Good evening, my fellow Americans. Yes, it is I, your lovely host, Rod, coming to you live from my bunkerized home studio somewhere within the great granite state of New Hampshire. Yes, indeed, we are live, coming to you live from the state whose motto is live free or die. It is not big government or bust. It is Tuesday, February the 26th in the year of our Lord 2013. This edition of the Rod Eccles Express is pulling out of the station, going to express down the tracks of truth for the next 60 minutes, and you will learn something. First, tonight, folks, I wanted to really, I was thinking about this earlier today, and because a conversation an online conversation I was having with someone, and it dawned on me, well, not that it dawned on me all of a sudden, but it occurred to me that there is a big disconnect in our nation. Because we have a lot of people that support Obama for whatever reason, but they don't like the direction this country is going. They don't like all the government policies. But they don't tie those policies and the way the country's going on Obama. Now, I can't figure this out, other than the fact that it's all about so-called racism. Now, hang with me here, folks. Never in the history of our country, at least not as long as, we've been actually keeping track of this kind of stuff, has a president who's been a failure and whose economy is a failure and whose diplomacy, foreign diplomacy is a failure. Never in our country's history has that president not been the one to blame. Now, this does Bill Clinton, the Slick Willie one better. Bill Clinton, I didn't have sex with that woman. I mean, lying under oath, that's different. The American people knew that Bill Clinton was guilty of something. They just said, well, we don't care. What does that have to do with anything? That was the first hint of America's downfall, by the way. Let me remind you of that. But now we've got to the point where lying to the American people, being caught lying to the American people, raising the American people's taxes, telling the American people that we need to do this, and this, and then doing it, none of it works. But things, and keeping prices down, because that's why they're saying that they're doing it. They're going to keep prices down. And prices go up farther and higher and faster than anybody originally predicted. But none of that is the blame of Barack Obama. Oh, yeah, his policies suck, but that's not Obama's fault. And folks, it has to do with this overreaching notion of racism. If you oppose Obama in any way, you're a racist. If you tag Obama with failure in any way, you're being a racist. So naturally, people are going to say, well, yeah, the economy sucks. The foreign policy sucks. But it's not Obama's fault, because if they say it's Obama's fault, they're going to be tagged with racism. Now, let me tell you something. Now, this is for all my fellow African Americans out there. Now, all the rest of you ethnicities, this is good for you too, but I'm directing this specifically at African Americans because, yeah, I'm personally getting tired of being called a racist until somebody finds out that I'm black. Well, they claim they don't know I'm black at first, and they'll call me a racist, and I said, well, that's impossible because I'm black. And then they'll have to stumble over their words over their keyboard and their computer to try to come up with something. Oh, then you're just a sellout or an Uncle Tom or something like that. Really? Let me ask my fellow African Americans. Is it a sellout to want to be a success? Now, think about it before you answer. If I want to be financially successful and I go out there and I work to try to become financially successful, am I being a sellout? Now, I know some of you would say, well, yeah, man, you're being a sellout. Really? Then how about Lil Wayne and Jay-Z and all those people? How about Denzel Washington and Morgan Freeman? Well, they're in the entertainment business. Well, in a way, this show is entertainment. I am too. But okay, how about Michael Jordan? He's not in the entertainment business anymore. The man's in business. He's behind the scenes. You never see or hear about Michael Jordan anymore. How about him? Is he a sellout now? Now, you see, you have to understand, you have to think before you react and act. Because that's the first thing that blacks want to do. They, well, I don't want to, white man, he's racist. He's just trying to keep you down. Okay. So then let me ask you something. And you can ask this of a black man. Do you want a handout from a white man? Most blacks would say no. I don't want his handout. Why? Because they have some personal pride. They don't want pity. But they'll take tax dollars in the form of welfare. Do you not realize that welfare is a form of slavery? Do you not realize that your white masters, as you call them, are continuing to be your master because they control your economic destiny so long as you're on some sort of welfare program? Have you noticed that these so-called whites who love blacks, who are giving you money, have you noticed that they're not willing to teach you how to fish? Oh, they're willing to give you a fish every day. Let me tell you something. That is ultimate power. You have ultimate power over a person when you control their needs. Not their wants and desires, their needs. Now, I've begun to ask this question, ask it, and I've been asking it a lot lately. Why is it that you're so against teaching a man to fish instead of feeding him? Oh, that's a whole different notion. Because we're talking about if I wanted absolute power over somebody. Now, you have to understand, this has nothing to do with money, folks. I know everybody thinks that money is power and that everybody wants money so they can have power. No, you don't have to have money in order to have power. Money does not equal power. Sometimes it can help you get it and influence it, but it does not equal it. Power is something totally different. Let me tell you what power is. Power is control. Now, I want African Americans to think about this. Who do they think has control? You ask a liberal this, well, why are you so bent on trying to take other people's money so you can feed this person instead of teaching that person to feed? Notice there are there are tons and tons of welfare programs that just give money to somebody. But there are not tons and tons of programs that actually teach people how to take care of themselves. That's for a reason, folks. It's about power. It's about power. You have ultimate power. I have ultimate power over somebody else. If every single day they have to come to me to get their breakfast, lunch, and dinner, if I want to keep them under control, I'm not going to teach them how to go and feed themselves and how to earn their own way so they can buy their own breakfast, lunch, and dinner. No, I'm not going to teach them that. I'm going to teach them the fastest way to get here so I can feed them their breakfast, their lunch, and their dinner. Oh, let's just herd all the children in the inner schools off to school every freaking day so we can give them breakfast. Let's not help and teach their parents to feed their own kids. No, let's feed the kids for them, because when we do that, we've got power. We control the parents. We can tell the parents where they can live, how much they can earn when they work. Hey, you want to feed your kid? You better not get that kind of a job. Now, you African Americans who are the brunt of all of this, let me ask you, is that what you're living every single day? Don't give me the bullshit about you can't find a job. Let me ask you, if you find a job, what happens to all your public support? It goes away, doesn't it? And the job that you get doesn't equal what you were getting in public support. So you cannot tell me that the public support system is not controlling you, because you're going to sit on your ass and accept money from somebody just like a freaking slave in 1850. That's power. And all of those people who have that power over you, they don't have a lot of money. They're not the wealthy of this country, are they? No, but they've got power. And they've got power over you. And now we've got stuff out there. Whoa, hey, you know what? I'm kind of for this, but you have to understand where it's coming from. You shouldn't be allowed to buy beer with your food stamps. This is true. But they ain't stopping there. Look at Nanny Bloomberg going over in New York City. You know, I was just there this past weekend. And I got to tell you, I am ashamed at New York City. I am ashamed of the greatest city on the planet, New York, Big Apple. I'm ashamed of it. You know, we had Hurricane. When was Hurricane Sandy? October, November, months ago, right? Now, most private businesses and entities that weren't totally wiped out, just flattened, they're back to full capacity. I'm in New York City, and I walking around and taking the subway and viewing the sights and all that kind of stuff, and there is one city-run operation after another that is still down. The Staten Island Ferry. Now, folks, pay attention. The Lower Manhattan Staten Island Ferry dock. Can somebody tell me why 3 or 4 months later the escalators are not working? The reason the escalators are down is because of Hurricane Sandy damage. Are you kidding me? No, it's not that I wanted to use the escalator, but you have got to be kidding me. Don't tell me there's no money. Obama just gave $50 billion in disaster relief. You going to tell me that there's no money there to fix the escalators? That you can't get the escalators fixed within 4 months? But the worst part about it isn't that the government of New York City is so lame. It is that the people of New York accept it. I didn't hear people griping about it. I didn't read the newspapers, people wondering why come the stairs and all the other sandy damage hasn't been repaired yet. No, New Yorkers are accepting it. That's power. New Yorkers are accepting the fact that they're being told that they can't buy anything, any soda, the soda pop, carbonated sugared beverage, bigger than 12 ounces when they go out. Is the government using any money for that? Are they handing people any money? No, there's no money involved. Power. That's all. Pure and simple. They want power over you and me, and we're giving it to them without a fight. And then when somebody wants to take that away, we want to say, especially African Americans, that those who want to take it away are being racist. No. They want us to be free, to flourish. I want people who are taking welfare, who are on welfare programs, I want them off of welfare. Not just because I don't want to be footing their bills when they're fully capable of footing their own bills, but that's just it. I want them footing their own bills. I want them becoming a productive member of society. I want them to fly high and free. I want them to be able to move out of the inner city if that's what they want to do. I want them to be able to buy that 3,000 square foot McMansion out in the suburbs if they want. I want them to be able to live in Lower Manhattan if they want to. I want them to be able to afford to buy their own foie gras if they want to. I want them to be able to buy their own beer and smokes if they want to. I want them to be able to live their life, not being controlled by me or anybody else. You see, folks, I don't want that kind of power. I don't want to control anybody's life. You have to look at somebody with huge amounts of suspicion if they say they only want to help people live a better life. No, that's not their job. It is not my job to help you live a better life. It is my job as an American to get out of your way so you can pursue your own dreams. Collectively, we're supposed to be here together to educate our kids. Yes. Something we're not doing. Again, a dumbed-down population is easier to control than an intelligent, well-educated population. That's also a historical fact, by the way. It's about power and control, from education to what and when and where you eat to where you live. Oh, yeah, we can control the black population. That has been goal number one of the Democrats since the end of the Civil War. That is also historical fact, folks. It is historical fact. Go look it up and read it for yourself. It wasn't Republicans that were standing in the way of civil rights. In fact, Republicans kept trying to push it through for 100 years. It was Democrats that blocked it because they wanted power. It wasn't Republicans that said, there's a white-only and a black-only water fountain that you can drink from. It wasn't Republicans that said blacks can't eat at the same lunch counter as whites. It wasn't Republicans. It was Democrats that said blacks and whites should not mix in schools, separate but equal. But we know they weren't equal because the black schools were in worse condition and received a hell of a lot less money. It was not Republicans who shot John F. Kennedy. It was not a Republican who shot Martin Luther King. They were Democrats. And they were after what? Power. We know they were Democrats. We know they were communists. And so we know this. It isn't Republicans in control of inner city schools right now. It's Democrats. It's Democrat policy that is being foisted on our school system. And who's getting the blame? Republicans. It's not the Republicans' fault. This is the greatest shift of blame I've ever seen in the history of mankind. The people who are doing all the bad are blaming those who are really trying to do good, and the people who are trying to do good are being blamed for all the bad from everybody else. This is why Obama is able to get away with this for the first time in history. Because he's black. Oh, man, he can't be responsible. Because if he is, well, it's all only due because you're racist. And of course, we're too damn stupid and too scared to be labeled as racist, so we're going to go along. No, I'm not racist, so no, you're right, it can't be his fault, but the policies suck, but it can't be his fault because he's black and I'm not racist. Let me tell you something. You are. You Democrat, you're racist. You Republican, you're racist because you won't stand up for against the Democrat. You think that you cannot disagree with this person. Well, if I disagree, I got to be racist. Then I don't want to be racist, so I'm not going to disagree with them. That's a racist thought. We better understand what racism really is in this country. And let me tell you something. We've got some big, huge reverse racism going on right now. So it is not the right way to go not to blame somebody when they are at fault. Barack Obama and the Congressional Black Caucus. I mean, this is amazing. These people are getting caught with their hands in the cookie jar. And yet blacks don't blame them. William Jefferson, he had all that money in his freezer. Giving truth to the term cold hard cash. Oh, no, but it's not his fault. It's just the way all white people do it, so he was just trying to get his too. That's okay. So that's not racism? Power is what these people are after. Control. And we're giving it to them. I mean, I am looking at what is going on down in Washington, D.C., and I'm thinking, I'm living a dream. This is I'm going to wake up from this nightmare. There is no way in hell a nation as large and as great as ours can actually be doing this to ourselves. It is not possible. But it is. You know, it is to the point now where there are a lot of enemy nations, enemies of the United States. They're not doing anything anymore. Sure, you got the Chi-Coms that are trying to do some cyber espionage. That's about it. They're not even, they make a little bit of spouty noise every once in a while, like Putin in Russia. No, you can't put those anti-missile missiles near us. And that's all he does. That's all he says. There's no movement, military or political movement against the United States from our current and former adversaries. Why? Because they're watching us implode. They don't have to do a damn thing, folks. They're sitting back and they turn on the TV every day and they watch as the U.S. burns. The world's greatest soap opera. How the United States, just like the great Roman Empire, destroyed itself. We don't have to go down that road. We can turn the channel, change the script, hire some new producers. I don't care. We can do it. We have to do it. Or within less than 300 years, the United States won't become Greece. No. We'll become ancient Rome. And we'll just be a chapter in the history books. All because some people don't really understand what racism is, and they believe that somebody else owes them something when nobody owes you or I anything. I don't care what color your skin is. You were born with the same brain as everybody else. Use it. And don't give me that you don't have the opportunity. Well, enough people found some opportunity somewhere to get going. Didn't they? If one person can do it, you all can do it. And the only people standing in your way isn't even government, it's you. You're letting government control you and rule you. You're giving government power over you. Now, I don't care if you're black or white, Latino, Asian, Indian, Native American. It does not matter. If you allow somebody else to take care of you and to feed you every single day, they have got power over you. Massive power. And you need to break that cycle. Only you can do it. Think about it. Think about it.
Today is a special day. Today we gather as a nation and as an international community to recognize the selfless decision of one of the most influential women of our time. She's been recognized by religious figures and politicians around the world. To us, she's just Rachel. But to the rest of the world, she is the woman who, after having one too many drinks, chose not to drive home buzzed. Here today to honor Rachel is the family whose lives she spared.
Save a life. Don't drive buzzed. Buzz driving is drunk driving. I was in chronic pain. And my family struggling to make ends meet, food and gas prices going up, even keeping my job was iffy. Then I learned about a new miracle drug made in Washington, D.C. Spenditol. Spenditol is Washington's answer to all the painful problems Americans face. How to borrow $800 billion for a stimulus that didn't create jobs or fix the economy? Spenditol.
Spenditol is not for everyone. Side effects may include a mountain of government debt piled on our kids, a sudden loss of freedoms, higher prices for everything, leaving our kids a lesser America than we had. Ask your doctor or congressman if your conscience is strong enough for Spenditol.
And it's so popular in Washington, we have to import trillions more of it from China. Spenditol makes you feel better now and pushes off the really bad stuff till later, for them to deal with.
Call the White House and Congress. Tell them, stop spending it all.
I always loved watching the kids play basketball. I still do, even though things have changed. It's funny, they can't find jobs to get their career started. And I can't afford to retire. And now we're all living together again. I supported President Obama because he spoke so beautifully. He promised change, but things changed for the worse. Obama started spending like our credit cards have no limit. His healthcare law made health insurance even more expensive. We've had stimulus and bailouts. Obama added almost $16,000 in debt for every American. How will my kids pay that off when they can't even find jobs? Now Obama wants more spending and taxes. That won't fix things. I had so many hopes. Cutting taxes and debt and creating jobs. That's the change we need. Tell President Obama to cut the job-killing debt and support the New Majority Agenda at newmajorityagenda.org.
From Iraq and Afghanistan, our brave warriors are coming home, wounded. Some with wounds you can see, some with wounds you can't see. Wounded Warrior Project was created to support our men and women coming off the battlefield. Please help carry these warriors the rest of the way home. Get involved at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Feeling lonely this holiday season? Looking for little human interaction? Do you want to feel contact in certain special places?
Then why not go through security at an airport?
The TSA.
TSA agents are ready and standing by to give you a little something extra to feel thankful about this holiday season.
The TSA.
What are you waiting for? I want to check under your testicles.
Spending time with a TSA agent couldn't be easier. Simply book a flight departing from any American airport. When selected for a full body scanner, say no. You'll be pulled aside by a TSA agent, and that's when the fun begins. And you never know who your agent will be.
It could be me. Or me. Or even me.
But it's probably gonna be us. Take off your damn shoe.
The TSA. It's our business to touch yours.
Welcome to the Bureau of Womanhood Conformity. Independent thoughts are considered subversive because all must agree with our leader.
When it comes to women, preventative care should include coverage of contraceptive services such as birth control.
You see, if you don't believe government should pay for your birth control, you're not a real woman. Womanhood denied. If you refuse to accept that pregnancy is a punishment, you're denied as well.
I don't want them punished with a baby.
If you don't believe that abortions should be allowed for any reason, if you don't believe in aborting a child for being the wrong gender, and if you don't believe that stay-at-home mothers aren't real workers, you are not a real conformed woman.
His wife has actually never worked a day in her life. His wife has actually never worked a day in her life.
Finally, for your safety, if you oppose mandatory government health care, you will die.
They will be voting to say that women can die on the floor.
These standards and regulations were formed after our glorious victory in the war on women. Thank you for your cooperation and your conformity.
You're listening to The Rod Eccles Show.
And I am back. Y'all can't keep me away for too long. I know some people try. Obama's backers. This is interesting, folks. This is from the New York Times. Now, I don't know what's happening to the New York Times is having a little bit of soul searching. Yeah, I know that there's also the rumor out there that that Donald Trump wants to buy the New York Times. Now, I want people to understand why I would be fully behind that kind of a purchase. Because one of the world's greatest news publications, the New York Times, would again be forced, or not forced, but charged with actually printing the truth. Because let's face it, Donald Trump is no lefty. He's no left-wing nut job. Some people, try to peg Donald Trump as being a middle of the road. I mean, I've heard him all over the being all over the place on the right. He's a moderate. Well, then he does a bunch of stuff that doesn't agree with moderism or moderation, and then he's called a libertarian. And Trump doesn't view himself as a libertarian, and then they say, well, he's a conservative. But I don't really consider Trump to be a conservative he's somewhere on the right. He's right of moderate. I give him that. But understand that the New York Times is left of center. And if Donald Trump were to buy the New York Times in a bid to save it, it would go from the left of center to right of moderate in a heartbeat. So I would be behind that because Donald would, start putting people in place that would. There are reporters out there that do want to report and investigate and report the truth. And as I said, it's an impossibility to take 100% of your own biasness out of any particular subject. You can't do it. So there's no need to even try to lie about it. You can't do it. But you can be fair enough to put both sides in there because we don't get both sides anymore. We get one side. You can print. That's what the news is about. Printing both sides of a story. Or all the important sides of a story so people can decide for themselves. But we're not getting. We just get one side from the New York Times and from a lot of other newspapers and news organizations on television and radio. So get all sides. That's what news is about. This isn't a news program, by the way, so I have no obligation to give all sides. Now, I tell you about all sides as much as I possibly can. As much as I can fathom on the left to tell you about and stomach it. But I'm here to tell you the truth. But our news organizations, they're supposed to be there to give you all the major sides so you can decide for yourself. Information, facts, that's it. Truth and facts. They're not supposed to put any spin on it. So the New York Times, if it were purchased by Donald Trump, would again bring back some of that integrity to American journalism. But here from the New York Times, maybe they're starting to see a little bit, just a tiny bit. Maybe they're starting to see just a little bit of that writing on the wall. That in order to, if they want to keep their jobs. If they want to keep their jobs, they better do something a little bit different. Now, here from the New York Times in the politics section, Obama's backers seek big donors to press agenda. What? They're talking about Obama is looking for big donors to seek and press out an agenda. I didn't think Obama had an agenda. I thought he was just, this immaculate type of human being that was here just to save the entire planet. That's the only agenda that he has, is to save the entire planet. Otherwise, there's no agenda from Obama. Well, evidently there is. President Obama's political team is fanning out across the country in pursuit of an ambitious goal, raising $50 million to convert his re-election campaign into a powerhouse national advocacy network, a sum that would rank the new group as one of Washington's biggest lobbying operations. I thought the left hated lobbyists. Oh, man, we got all you big donors out there, you big lobbyists, you big business lobbyists. That's how we got so screwed up, is because all the lobbyists who are owned by the businesses, the big corporations. Well, guess what? Obama's new group would be one of Washington's biggest lobbying operations, but the rebooted campaign known as Organizing for Action has plunged the president and his aides into a campaign finance limbo with few clear rules, ample potential for influence peddling, and no real precedent in national politics. Well, there's nothing, there's nothing that has precedence with this guy anyway. So why should he stop there? There's no precedence for him to issue all these executive orders that stomp on the Constitution. There's no precedence for a president who has a bad economy not being blamed for it, but everybody else is. But his policies, the president's policies, are seen to be taking the country in the wrong direction. But it's not the president's fault. That's unprecedented too. So why should he stop there? It's unprecedented that a president should spend so much money. Hey, come on, going on vacation and taking all the golf rounds of golf that he's played. That's unprecedented. Hello, folks. It is unprecedented that a president champions the idea of sequester. And then when the sequester is about to actually take effect, he blames the Republicans. And the lamestream media agrees with him. That is unprecedented. This guy is full of unprecedented, unequal, unbelievable garbage. In private meetings and phone calls, Mr. Obama's aides have made clear that the new organization will rely heavily on a small number of deep-pocketed donors, not unlike the super PACs whose influence on political campaigns Mr. Obama once deplored. Of course he hated them, because he didn't control any of them. Oh, yeah, we can't have all these super PACs because they're not mine. At least half of the group's budget will come from a select group of donors who will each be forced, will each contribute or raise $500,000 or more, according to donors and strategists involved in the effort. Anybody want to think that in 2016 this guy's going to go away? Obama is younger, more evil, and more clever than Bill Clinton. We were kind of happy when the year 2001 rolled around and George W. Bush took over the White House, the Oval Office. Most of us knew that it wasn't going to be the end of Bill Clinton, that we were going to see him around still. But it wasn't going to be so bad. And it wasn't. But, Bill Clinton, every time he tried, he interjected himself in a lot of different stuff, and we were just like, oh, Bill, just go away. Now, I want you to think about this. Picture Bill Clinton with a dark tan and 10 times worse. That's going to be Barack Obama in 2016, in 2017, in 2018. We've just given this guy a reason to hang around for the rest of his life. What do you mean, Rod? Well, we gave him a second term. We reelected him. If he was a one-termer like Carter, we could have dispatched him out to the fields of Never Never Land in Chicago for good and said, okay, bye, you were terrible. See, we proved it. Goodbye, one term, you were in and out. But no, we gave him a second term. So as much as we want to shout, this is the worst president in American history, we actually cannot officially tag him with that. Because the worst president in American history would not get reelected. Obama got reelected. So I'm sorry, but Jimmy Carter, you're still the worst the worst president in our country's history. Because you didn't get reelected. You got fired, booted. Obama got hired. Even after that abysmal record, Obama got rehired. So therefore, I'm sorry, all you people on the right, all my friends, all my conservative friends, Republicans and libertarians, you can say it all you want to, but Obama is no longer the country's worst president in history because he got reelected. And because of that, we are also not going to be able to get rid of him after 2016. He's going to be interjecting himself anywhere, everywhere that he possibly can, interfering with our lives from afar, if you will. We're not getting rid of him. We're going to have to deal with him for the rest of his natural life and beyond. There's some people out there, well, let's just cut that life short. That's not going to help. It's too late for all that. It's too late. What this guy has now just become is probably one of the most successful presidents in our nation's history. And by successful, I mean he is going to remake and transform this country into something that we will not recognize. That's a success, folks. That's not a failure. And even though that whole type of system will fail, it will fail dramatically, it will fail abysmally, he'll be the father of all those policies, but guess what? He will be loved and adored and not blamed one bit. That is, I hate to say it, but that's success. Some people might think, well, geez, Rod, you're just painting a picture that we just can't win. No, I'm not painting that at all. I'm just telling you that if you continue to let this happen without changing yourself first, your own thought patterns, this is exactly what's going to happen. If you are going to allow yourself to be a dependent of the government and continue, and you want that to grow, well, this is what's going to happen. If you are going to continue to blame the rich white guy that hardly exists nowadays, then this kind of stuff is going to continue to happen. Now, notice how they were, speaking of the sequester and Obama's success, notice how they got a tax raise on the wealthy, right? It's already voted in. It's signed into law. It's now tax code. Rich got taxed. They got the wealthy got taxed. Guess what he's saying now? They need to raise taxes again. No. Yeah, I know. We got the rich to pay their fair share then, but this is 2 months later. They're not paying their fair share now. They got to pay more. And they're saying that they have to pay more because Obama and his minions can see the writing on the wall, or I should say in the books, that there's not enough money coming in for what they want to spend. So guess what's going to happen to the rich folks? That rich person who was, first thought to be rich at $250,000, that number is going to drop to $100,000 and $150,000. You watch. I hear people all the time talking about the minimum wage. Yeah, $9 an hour. That's a good minimum. Really? Is $9 an hour a good minimum wage for a full-time job for a person who's supporting a family in San Francisco or L.A. or New York City? No, it's not. I mean, $9 an hour is not even good enough to live in Keene, New Hampshire, where the minimum wage in Keene is, in order to afford rent and food, is I guess that's what they're going to call a living wage, is $13 an hour. But $9, yeah. If you don't want to raise it to $9, you're mean and evil. GOP drafts a plan to give Obama discretion on cuts. Also from the New York Times, congressional Republicans are preparing to counter increasingly dire warnings from President Obama about the impact of automatic budget cuts, with a plan to give the administration more flexibility in instituting $85 billion in cuts. A proposal, they say, that could protect the most vital programs while shifting more of the political fallout to the White House. The White House should be getting all of the political fallout in the first place. Now, understand this, folks. We've already been through this. I told you about this yesterday. We went through the numbers. Here are the numbers briefly again. It's an $85 billion sequester cut over the next 2 years. So it's roughly $44 billion over each year of the next 2 years. Now, however, if the government were to cut $44 billion out of the $3.7 trillion budget for this year, 2013, fiscal 2013, they would still be spending $15 billion more than fiscal 2012, last year. So can somebody please tell me how, if we're spending $15 bazillion more than we did last year, we're going to have all these draconian cuts? How the hell are the Republicans going to give Obama more power so he can fall on the sword? It's already his fault. What the hell is this? Now, the plan is vigorously opposed by the administration. Well, of course, because, we don't want the responsibility. Look, hey, we're gonna give you discretion, Mr. President. We're gonna allow you to choose where those $85 billion or $44 billion for this year in cuts are gonna be. No. This is what the president's saying. No, we don't want that responsibility. Oh, hell no. Think about this. Congressional Republicans are saying, you know what? We're going to give you the responsibility of handling the cuts, and we're going to make all the cuts. Because the cuts are going to happen, so we're going to give you the opportunity to choose where those cuts are coming from. And the White House is saying, oh, no, hell no, no way, we don't want that. No, we don't want responsibility. We just want to blame y'all in case things go bad and take credit if things go good. But we don't want the responsibility of it. Does anybody else see this? No. We don't want the responsibility. We want to be able to wash our hands clean and just blame you Republicans for everything. We don't want responsibility. You're going to give us the responsibility. Hey, we didn't get in this to take responsibility for anything, In other words, what the Republicans are rightfully trying to do, I mean, it's a stupid ass idea, but it's a good one for Obama. Is to say, you know what, Mr. President, it's time to come off the campaign trail and start governing. And Obama saying, I don't know how to govern. Think about it, folks. All you Obama lovers, he is telling you he has no clue about how to govern. Oh, yeah, he can come up with some ideas, and most of these ideas are bad for the country, but he can come up with these ideas, and then he can go on the campaign trail and campaign for these ideas and get you all riled up and get them behind him and everything. And then when a brass tacks comes down, And they actually have to implement this stuff and maintain it and govern this stuff. He doesn't want anything to do with it because he has no clue how to. This is from the New York Times. Congressional Republicans want to give their president responsibility over the cuts, so maybe they're not going to be so draconian. And the White House is saying, hell no, we don't want that responsibility. They don't want to govern. All they want to do is campaign. Even if they're lying about in the campaign about where they stood just 4 months ago. It's not about governing. Speaking of governing and money, IRS spends $4 million annually on a TV station. Did you know this? I didn't know this. The IRS might be watching us, but a number of Republicans are now asking who's watching the IRS. More specifically, the tax agency's $4 million a year television studio. Yes. The IRS spends $4 million annually to run its own full-service television production studio, asserts the House Republican Conference, which posted a photograph of the expansive studio on the Flickr picture-sharing website. Instead of raising taxes, let's eliminate the IRS television studio, charges the conference, which superimposed a large price tag over the photo with a $4 million every year in red. Now, a spokesman for the IRS did not immediately respond to a Newsmax request for information on the television studio and specifically who watches the content. What could they possibly be producing? Now, Republican Congressman Tom Cole of Oklahoma pointed to the IRS television studio as an example of wasteful government spending. He said that such expenditures are not being targeted under the automatic spending cuts of sequestration, which is scheduled to take effect this Friday. Now, although it makes necessary spending cuts, sequestration targets nothing at all. It's the equivalent of a family deciding to save $1,000 this year by making equal cuts, not only in their cable subscription, but their heating and grocery bills. IRS, $4 million a year for a television studio. A television studio. Anybody? A television studio. This is I don't know what they're producing. I'm sure as hell not Netflix. Look, folks, speaking of IRS, make sure that you get your taxes done and done right this year. I'm telling you, this year and next year, with the Obamacare crap starting to take hold and them putting more IRS agents on the ground, you're going to need to have all your T's crossed and your I's dotted, and make sure your 7s look like a 7, your 6s look like a 6, and make sure your 0s look like a 0, because they will be coming for you. Until then, I'll be back here tomorrow because I'm out of time for today. Rod Eccles Express coming into the station for this evening.
Well, goodbye. And don't think it hasn't been a little slice of heaven, because it hasn't.
I'm Rod Eccles. This has been The Rod Eccles Show. I'm out.